Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Umar Khalil. But we are on the eve of Pakistan's Independence Day. Today is the 13th of August 2025. And of course, we are seeing the resolve of the people of Pakistan in different parts of the country through their congregations and through the passion and the zeal that they are showing through their carrying of the flags and buntings. And so are we here on PTV World. Let's move ahead without further ado with today's lineup. We'll begin with the US State Department that has now confirmed that the US President Donald Trump did mediate in India-Pakistan conflict. This has been confirmed more than 30 times by the US President, but now this has also been confirmed by the US State Department, because the US State Department spokesperson was specifically asked this question and she answered specifically on that. So I hope that clears the rumors or the rumor mills that have been churning all kinds of negativity and misinformation as far as this very mediation is concerned. From the Indian side, let me reiterate, this is going to be our first segment. Our second segment, ladies and gentlemen, concerns 14th of August and the different preparations that are going on across Pakistan. Tonight we are going to see a huge celebration starting from 8 p.m. In which the Pakistan's leadership will be present, and of course Pakistan will be highlighting its success on different fronts. The top to top it all is Operation Marha and Marha, and how important these have been as far as Pakistan's air superiority and Pakistan's strength in the region is concerned. This is also why many countries across the world after this operation have finally recognized Pakistan for what it is worth. This is going to be our second segment. Our third story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns also the Indian and Israeli atrocities that have been going on against the Muslims. This Hindu-Jewish alliance has had many different roots in different forms and manifestations, and this has not only been condemned by analysts across the world, but also by Priyanka Gandhi, who is the opposition leader. This is going to be our third story. Then we are going to talk about Grok. Now, Grok, the software that was recently released by X, has offered conflicting explanations on its brief suspension from X after it had accused Israel as well as the United States of committing genocide in Gaza. Maybe it also got some kind of an update. Finally, today is the 25th death anniversary of Nazia Hassan. Nazia Hassan, a Pakistani icon like no other as far as pop music in Pakistan is concerned, a female icon, and her songs still reverberate amongst the Gen Z and the millennials as well, and we remember her today on her 25th death anniversary. This is the lineup for today. Let's begin with our first segment. It concerns the US State Department that confirms US President Trump's mediation in the India-Pakistan conflict. Now, what happened was, during a briefing at the State Department in response to a question, Tammy Bruce, who was the spokesperson of the State Department, said to reduce the tension between Pakistan and India, the Vice President, the President and the Secretary of State took immediate action, and at time we made phone calls to stop the attacks, and every possible effort was made to bring both sides to the table. This is how seriously, she said, the US leadership took the crisis. President Trump wanted to talk to everyone. He could end differences and bring the parties together. This is what she said, quote unquote. We have with us Dr. Tasawwur Hussain, who is a foreign affairs analyst in the studios. Dr. Tasawwur, thank you very much to have joined us. It's always a pleasure to see you here. Given Pakistan's openness to third-party facilitation, not the first time, not the last time that Pakistan has said that it is ready for mediation on issues that between Pakistan and India, and of course to top it all is the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. How will the US build upon Donald Trump, who's the US President's role in de-escalating the crisis, the current crisis that we have seen? He said he mediated in it, to ensure that India cannot unilaterally derail peace talks from now on, if there are any peace talks that happen.
Right. I think it's a very pertinent question, and before we move on, I think we need to comprehend the mediation process in itself. So, if there is a mediation has to be done, then there are three parties at least, of course, party A and party B and a mediator. The thing is that do we have party B on the table right now? or it's still on the papers. So are we hypothetically talking about mediation when we talk about India? Is India agreed for the mediation?
Well, we know the answer to that.
Yes, so it means that there is a lot to think, and there is a lot to cover when it comes to the whole process of mediation. Now, in my opinion, the history of India-Pakistan conflict and the mediation stuff is quite haphazard. So when it comes to India's own interests, India's own security calculations, India loves for mediators. So India goes for mediation. But when the time passes, time goes, so India actually shy away from it. So be it the case of 1965
from accepting the fact that
yes, from 1965 war to Kargil, and from that to Operation Marha, India has welcomed the mediation of the United States of America. Okay, come and save us, rescue us. But when it comes to the other issues which are not on the top priority of India, India actually talks about bilateralism. Now, what is this bilateralism thing? In India's mind, it's a sheer hypocrisy. It means that when you have somehow your own interests are at stake, you will talk about multilateralism. You will try to invite extra regional powers, you will deal with Russia, you will talk to China, you will engage with the United States of America, you will engage diplomatically, economically, politically, strategically, but when it comes to your neighborhood and when they ask about conflict resolution and mediation, then you walk away. I think that's the thing which we need to understand, and in my opinion, the whole process of mediation which we are talking about and we are expecting in the near future, it all depends on the United States of America and how President Trump, keeping in view his personality, because he happened to be very different, very peculiar president, peculiar leadership in the United States of America. And what he loves credit, he loves thank you calls, and he wants to get a Nobel laureate as well for the peace.
And he wants to be acknowledged for the efforts he's making.
And we think that it's somehow due and it should be given to him. But at the same time, we need to understand that for President Trump, India is not a trustworthy partner, because recently President Trump has blamed the state of India that they are buying Russian oil and the money is being used to
that
slaughter,
is why the 50% tariff.
yes, slaughter the Ukrainians. So it means that on the one side, India talks about democracy and claims itself to be the largest democracy of the world, but on the other hand, it joined hands with the forces which happen to be not very democratic.
All right.
So it means that President Trump needs to be very cautious when it comes to the situation in the subcontinent. But there is last one thing. In United States has two things in its hands. One is compellence and other is persuasion. And compellence means that through tariffs, of course through fines, punishments and sanctions. But on the other hand, it has certain sort of persuasion strategies in its hands. And what are those? To have trade, to have deal, I mean transactional relationships. So the president is actually using carrot with big stick. And for me, as an independent analyst, I think that it's very difficult to expect that India would actually comply with the expectations, let's say, if I may use the word expectations of the President Trump, that he would actually be in a position to mediate between India and Pakistan.
But there are a lot of hopes that are pinned to his very effort of mediation that happened recently in the Operation Marha and also now on the Kashmir issue and on trade talks between the two countries. This is what he has also stated in the past. Brigadier Nadmi joins us. Brigadier Saab, thank you very much to have joined us. Will Washington take concrete steps to hold India accountable for repeated violations across the line of control? Will it bring it to book as to what it has been doing in the past vis-a-vis Pakistan? Because it seems as if Donald Trump is all in line, intended to teach India some kind of lesson.
First of all, on the eve of 14th August, Independence Day, congratulations to all Pakistanis. and also for winning this war in May this year. Now, coming to your question, President Trump right now, as you know, is already making a global peace effort on multiple fronts all over the world. And as of now, in Alaska, he's going to, in the meeting with President Putin to resolve the Ukraine-Russia war. So he's actually the global peacemaker at this point in the national history of the United States and the whole world. Nobody is working for peace, global peace today as much as President Trump. And you can see it in all the efforts, all the, recently in Azerbaijan case also, and then in the Cambodia and Vietnam and Cambodia and Thailand issues and all other places also. So having said that, that's the overall structure of the American foreign policy that is heading towards peace. That's part of his policy. Okay. Now coming to relating it to India. How much can the Americans do this? What can President Trump do? And what should Pakistan expect? Or what should Pakistan try for? Pakistan, as I've always been saying on your programs and otherwise also, has to be extremely proactive. And you've seen the way the Field Marshal, General Sayyid Asim Munir, has done it. And our other officials have all done their best, or they've tried their best to get the Americans on board, basically for peace. Pakistan's effort with India are for basically conflict resolution. You want peace, actually. Peace and prosperity is what Pakistan is aiming for. Pakistan doesn't have jingoism, chauvinism, or any of those things. Pakistan has no, other than solving Kashmir, which is the main issue, and some other minor issues related after that, it has no expansionist designs in the north, east, west, south, or anywhere. But there's a problem here. The problem is geopolitics. As I've said previously, I repeat it, India has an oversized geopolitical agenda. India is obsessed with being a global power or at least being a great power in the making right now. And therefore, India is not going to go for conflict resolution, solving Kashmir. In fact, according to the Indians, according to Delhi, and according to their entire Indian media, their officials, their military officials, government officials, and all that, their solving of Kashmir issue is, the Indian version is capturing Pakistan's Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan, which they call POK. Okay. So that is that part, which of course means a total war. So we should, in any case, try to get the Americans into this mediation, intervention, arbitration, whatever name you want to give it, in any form, because at the very least, it will, if it achieves nothing else, at least it will expose India to its war designs and its anti-peace efforts, which is going against the current United States policy and other policies, other countries also. See China. China is becoming the greatest economy in the world besides the United States. It's rising peacefully. The Chinese are talking of peace like the Americans are talking. So this is a global trend. And Pakistan is fortunately on the right side of history, and India is totally on the wrong side of history. So we must do our best part, and for that, whatever the Americans can do, anything or a little bit or a lot of it, as far as putting pressure on India, coercion or other, and it's not only United States. We must not forget, today the world, the global order is, it's not unipolar in the sense that it was after Soviet Union collapsed, but it's still run by United States along with the Western world. They are the dominant alliance of the world. So it's United States, it's Europe, including Japan, outside Europe, Japan, South Korea, and all the others. And then there's the Middle East also, the Gulf. So if all of them can be brought about with American support and, of course, our efforts, then it will bring some pressure on India. Of course, India will not hand over Kashmir to Pakistan, but at least it will push India back into a corner, which is the minimum that we should be, because India is on the war path. India is seeking war right now. And the other aspect is that we have to be prepared for war also. Whilst we preach peace, we have to...
That we are, in case India imposes that on us, we will, as we've done before in Operation Marha, give them more than a befitting response, as has already been stated by the DGI, SPI and other leadership. Please stay with us. Dr. Tasawwur, I'd like to understand, will the US point of view, if they are really hell-bent on or insist on that, adopt a long-term facilitation role which actively engages both capitals, New Delhi and Islamabad, but till a lasting settlement is achieved on issues such as in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Indus Water Treaty and many others? Or in your point of view, will it limit itself to short-term crisis firefighting? And if so, whatever way it uses, what mechanisms could the US utilize?
I think this is very interesting and very important question to understand. And in my opinion, we need to understand why the United States would be eager to solve the problems between India and Pakistan through mediation. For that, we need to go back to the textbook, and textbook says that it's the interest of all states which actually dictates their behavior. So what are the US interests? We need to understand those interests. US has deep interests in this region, and US is keen to pursue those interests. Obviously, keeping in view the personality of President Trump, got transactional type of leadership and personality traits, which means that what President Trump wants from Pakistan is a long-term economic ties, long-term economic relationships. What we can foresee is a comprehensive Pakistan-US relationship in the coming days. So it means that the future of Pakistan-US relationship is not limited to strategic interests only. These ties are, ties are going to be much more comprehensive, where we would see the US interest in the region, including energy, including minerals, including rare earth metals, and US is going to have a long-term relationship with Pakistan. Now, how will it be possible?
Yes.
This is the question.
This is the million-dollar question.
Yes, because the neighboring state of Pakistan is involved in political instability, in the problems which are related to our security, related to our economy. They are engaged in terrorism in Pakistan. They are engaged in direct attacks on Pakistan's territory. They are engaged in infiltration. I mean, unless we have political stability, how can we have focus on the other areas which are equally important for us? For example, economy. For example, the areas which are related to culture, areas which are related to technology, areas which are related to education, and so on and so forth. So my main concern is that United States would prefer here right now functional stability, not sort of thing which we can over expect that is.
But for that we've had the counterterrorism dialogue that happened yesterday between both the US and Pakistan side, and that is extremely pertinent, Dr. Tasawwur. I think the US now finally sees Pakistan as a country that it could work with, at least in the counterterrorism domain. And when it comes to counterterrorism, how can you deny that the main perpetrators, the backers of these perpetrators, come from our eastern border, and so indirectly or directly India is against labeled.
Has said and rightly pointed out that Pakistan is on the right side of the history. Pakistan's image is positive globally right now, because world has witnessed Pakistan's sacrifices, Pakistan's attitude, Pakistan's behavior that is actually positive. Now, thing is that United States is actually advancing and embracing Pakistan's position. United States is encouraging and appreciating Pakistan's steps. Pakistan is ready for mediation. India is talking about bilateralism. Pakistan is ready to have economic, say trade talks with the United States. India is shying away from it. Now, who is the bad guy here? Obviously,
everybody knows who's the bad guy. It's just that the US did not realize it before, and now it's finally realizing and seeing the light of day as far as India's role, as far as its extremist measures, its mindset is concerned in the region and outside of the region. Let's hope this leads to positive results and concrete outcomes as far as not only talks between Pakistan and India on the Kashmir issue is concerned, but also a final, some kind of a resolution, so that the people in Nile Valley can, have the right to self-determination before they completely Hindutvize the whole valley in such a way that even that will not matter. Thank you. Stay with us, Dr. Tasawwur. Our second segment will concern 14th of today. It's the eve of Pakistan's Independence Day, and of course what tops it all is the success of Pakistan against India in the Operation Marha under Marka-e-Haq. That has added colours to this year's Independence Day celebrations. Preparations are of course in full swing across the country to celebrate the Independence Day of Pakistan and the victory in Marka-e-Haq in a befitting manner. Buildings have been decorated with national flags, buntings, people have displayed national flags on their vehicles and rooftops of their houses. Stalls have been set up at markets and along the roads across the country selling national flags, buntings, caps and children clothing in green and white. A special ceremony, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be held tonight at the Jinnah Sports Stadium in connection with the Independence Day and the victory in Marka-e-Haq. Our leaders will be there from the civilian side, from the armed forces side as well. A large number of national and international dignitaries are also expected to attend the ceremony. Special cultural performances are also going to be presented on the occasion. A parade by the three armed forces and a flypast are also going to be part of the ceremony. The Prime Minister will also unveil the Marka-e-Haq monument during the event, and tomorrow morning the armed forces of Pakistan will also showcase defence equipment at the Shakarpadiya parade ground, which will be open for the public tomorrow at 10 a.m. So a lot is happening, and a lot is happening in connection with Pakistan's success in Operation Marha, and of course that was under Marka-e-Haq. We have been joined to talk about that. We continue to be joined by Dr. Tasawwur Hussain. We've also been joined by Air Marshal Amir Masood Saab, who's a defense analyst, and we have the privilege of having him in the studios this time. Thank you very much, Air Marshal Saab, to have joined us. Let's begin with you. How will this year's Independence Day celebrations integrate the victory in Marka-e-Haq to showcase Pakistan's resilience, unity and military strength? How does the victory in Bunyana Marsoos under Marka-e-Haq add this dimension of pride and national unity to add to this year's celebrations?
Thank you very much. I guess it's after a very long time that we are going to be celebrating the Independence Day with a victory attached to that, and there had been very significant events after that victory also, which have gone very positively both diplomatically as well as militarily for Pakistan. And there is not many events to, I would celebrate, especially on 14th August, and feel pride that what we have achieved in last couple of months. These are definitely proud moments for every Pakistani, and nothing can be better than the Independence Day to celebrate victory against a comprehensive victory against enemy who had been, inflicting pain and who had been inflicting a lot of injuries to our country, our people, especially from the western side, abetting terrorism, and have been, in one way or the other diplomatically trying to undermine Pakistan in every forum. So I personally think that this is definitely one of the very significant Independence Day for every Pakistani to celebrate, and Marka-e-Haq has given an opportunity for our every segment of our society, I would say. And thereafter we have also seen that those after effects have definitely been there diplomatically for Pakistan. Especially you can see what change in the tone and temper we see about America, and similarly Gulf states, and as well as China had always been our friend and
Yes.
will remain our friend, while we can see there's a 180 degrees turn for India to get associated with China and create some fissures between us and China, but that won't happen actually, because China is a very long-term partner, strategic partner, and they exactly know what India has been doing in the past as far as undermining China's strength is concerned, associating itself with the United States to create balancing sort of power in this particular region. So overall, if you see, I would say that this is one of a very important Independence Day for Pakistan and people of Pakistan to celebrate, and we need to connect it with what we achieved during the independence and how we have been able to translate into protecting this country, getting some very important milestones as far as our defense is concerned, as far as our economic progress is concerned. While we have to do catharsis also and see where we have missed out in making Pakistan a true Jinnah's Pakistan, and there are many gaps which we need to be filling at that particular moment. But definitely Marka-e-Haq gives us one of the launch pad for us to start new with certain things, especially internal divisions which are there. They have to be plugged in. We have to overcome our internal security concerns which are there, especially political as well as towards our western border, and we need to create a harmony among every segment of our society to contribute towards this great country. And there are many positive things which are visible also, and we need to create that positivity also, especially in the younger generation, which forms 65% of our population.
Agreed.
So this is a very robust and very resilient country, as you have also said. So we need to move forward with new zeal, new zest, new enthusiasm, and I think we can do well in every department where we want to do, if we can. Nuclear is one example for us all, that the whole nation was together to ensure that this country becomes a nuclear power. And it wasn't a very small achievement, it was something very significant. It wasn't something ordinary, I would say. And those countries who have strived thereafter to become nuclear have not been able to do so, with so many obstacles and obstructions. But the whole nation was together. They were ready to eat grass to ensure that this country becomes nuclear.
And that is what happened. And look at us today. We are the only Muslim nation that can call itself a nuclear state. Yes, indeed. And that is a very, very strong message that Pakistan also sends tomorrow and tonight on the eve of its Independence Day. Brigadier Nadimir, I'd like to understand, how did Operation Marha, because of course we're talking about this, because this 14th of August we reaffirm Pakistan's resolve for unity, faith and discipline. And the example of Operation Bunyan Marsus under Marka-e-Haq has been such a glorious example of how our nation stood together as one, and how our armed forces defended our nation with the valor, with the courage, with the passion and with the zeal that we have known it for. How did Operation Marha-e-Haq reaffirm Pakistan's resolve to protect its sovereignty and territorial integrity against external aggression?
Pakistan displayed exemplary military professionalism, national unity, and resilience, national resilience, because the reason that the Indians did this misadventure was that all their assumptions or all their designs and all the narrative that they had built up for Pakistan, about Pakistan, for themselves or for the world, it proved wrong. I mean, that was the biggest thing. They thought that Pakistan is politically divided, economically ruined, it's on the verge of, and this is what they were showing, verge of collapse, and a small shock or a slight military victory, a small military victory would demoralize Pakistani nation, and the Indian hegemony would be established. That was the minimum. So what happened was quite the opposite, as everybody knows, and I don't have to spell every small part of it. You see, the first, as I always say, it is, all these things happen because of action. I mean, you can do a lot of speeches and you can do a lot of campaigning or propaganda. Like Goebbels did a lot of good propaganda, but in the end, Germany lost, Nazi Germany lost. So you have to win the war, to bring about the real facts. The first thing was the Pakistan Air Force. The action of the Pakistan Air Force on that fateful night for the Indian Air Force, that is of 6-7 May, and the new, the way this multi-domain and the whole extraordinary new chapter of air warfare was introduced, and I'm not going to say it because...
Just to interrupt you here, Brigadier Nadimir, Indians always talked about the new normal. I think it's Pakistan that has established the new normal here.
Yes, I agree with that. Not only a new normal, actually it's gone, we need to see this in a the bigger picture part of it. One is what Pakistan achieved militarily and as a nation. But all that talk that we are talking about diplomatic wins and all, it didn't come out of nothing. It was this 4-day action of Pakistan which brought about influence, the geopolitical winds which are now in Pakistan's favor. And the spirit that has been rekindled in Pakistan, which was not there since 1965. This spirit was there at the time of 1965 war, and it has been recreated. So a new Pakistan and a fully charged, possessed Pakistan is coming out, at least as far as the Indians are concerned. If the Indians, or for that matter, the terrorists are concerned. And you know, it is not one victory alone, that is the 4-day war. There has been series of victories in the diplomatic field, and latest you see what is happening in Baluchistan, you know, because that is one big field where the Indians have been trying their terrorism at the worst. And the BLA being Majid Brigade are all being designated by the United States as terrorists. It's a very big setback for the Indians, the terrorists and the sponsors and all that. And Pakistan, inshallah, will be able to deal with proactively with all the terrorists along the western border, which actually is defeating India on the western side. I will call it defeating India on our western border. And also Gwadar will come up, because I wrote this book, Gwadar on the Global Chessboard, and a lot of it is related to Gwadar. Gwadar means CPEC and all this, and all the things which come about, all the bounties and fruit which comes to Pakistan. So Pakistan should emerge out of this as a united country, a much more united country, a prosperous country. The economy has to be rekindled. So it's not just the military aspect. The military aspect is initial, because the wars are decided by kinetic actions and what you do on the battlefield and how the campaigns are launched and how you win. The winner takes it all. I mean, there is no discussion on that. But it's the spin-offs are also economic. The spin-offs are diplomatic, the geopolitical. So overall, in the overall sense, today Pakistan's geopolitical status has been elevated. India has diminished. And what President Trump is doing is also related to what Pakistan achieved. I don't want to say it, but just to give an example, had we fared worse in this war with India, things may not have been as rosy as they are today for Pakistan. So, I have said that earlier, and I am repeating it at the cost of repetition. We must get ready for the next war, because every war is different, and India will do its worst. It's always planning. Of course, we will win that even bigger. We will even defeat India, humiliate India and defeat India in a bigger manner. That's all right. But we must prepare for the next war, whenever it comes.
All right, and Pakistan will always be ready, as we shown them in Marha and Operation Marha. Dr. Tasawwur, I'd like to understand in which ways successful executions of Operation Marha counter the Indian propaganda narratives at the global level.
I think first and most important thing is that how this Marha has actually united the nation of Pakistan, because before you go to fight against your enemy, you need to be united first.
Exactly.
I think the rise and falls of nation depends on how do they perceive themselves. So today Pakistanis, each and every Pakistani perceives himself as a victorious Pakistani, as a Pakistani who has actually established its strength and maintained its sovereignty against manifold military power, the power that is economically, that is militarily way more powerful as compared to Pakistan. It actually boosted Pakistan's morale. We are now stand as a united nation. So with that confidence, with that level of morale, we are now advancing towards economic strength and economic stability. I think Pakistan has dealt unprecedentedly with the Indian forces and its aggression in the wake of Operation Marha, against that Operation Sindoor of India.
India says that it is still in process, and that was one of the latest statements by the Indian Army Chief. Last question as far as this segment is concerned, then we change. Marshal Saab, I understand what key messages as you being part of the forces and having contributed so vehemently to those for decades, what key messages has the Operation Marha, the subsequent global acknowledgement of Pakistan and its strategic strengthening have given to the people of Pakistan? We are talking on the eve of Pakistan's Independence Day, so I thought this be an apt question.
So I mean, there are few which are strategic related messages, which we should remember as a nation. Few are operational and few lessons are, tactical as well. But I personally think that the biggest message is that, once the nation is united, there is no power on the earth which can, harm you. And that is what our Qaid also mentioned.
Exactly.
So this is what we saw during Bunyan al-Marsus, that whatever the divisions were at within the segments of the society, once the Bunyan al-Marsus was launched, everybody from, especially from Operation Sindoor onwards, from 6th onwards, were all on one page, belonging to any political party or any segments of the society. So that's very important. That has been the case in case of Pakistan history also, and this is something which is very positive. Second thing I would say is that this time our narrative was very comprehensive, very clear, and there has to be a difference between the political spin and the military narrative, and this is what India has been doing. You see in Operation Pulwama, they were able to give a lot of spin to the actual battle which was won by Pakistan Air Force, but because of that spin they were able to achieve their strategic objective and they won the election. But this time, not only that we operationally and tactically showed that brilliance, but we outclassed them in the narrative as well. And this is something which went positive for us both nationally as well as internationally. And this has to be, always for persuasion, for convincing the domestic audience also and international audience also. This has to be, jointly done at every stage of the conflict. And this was what was seen, I think, this time. And I would say, like to appreciate the media, the ISPR, and all those who were associated with making this narrative very strong and comprehensive and persuasive.
All right.
So lastly, I would say that we as a nation should look at our strengths and stay positive. That's the biggest lesson for us. We have a lot of strengths, we have a lot of talent within us, and that has been shown to us that such a big nation, such a big country, India, shining India and rising India, it felt like house of cards. So we have to identify our strength and we should stay strong.
All right, we have to identify our strengths and we have to stay strong. I think it's a very apt message on the eve of 14th of August and also of post the Marha and Operation Bunyan al-Marsus. Let's come to our next story, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns the Hindu-Jewish nexus that is extremely apparent as far as the agenda against the Muslims are concerned, whether it be in the Middle East, whether it be here in the subcontinent. Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi has condemned the Israeli atrocities on the Palestinian people and says the Modi government's silence is shameful and its stance on Palestine deceptive. And this is a very strong statement, but this is more or less the truth. Brigadier Nadir Mir, we are a bit short of time, but I'd like very, very short answers this time on this story. How does the deepening India-Israel alliance extending beyond defense to ideological alignment threaten Muslim populations in Palestine, in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and beyond?
Well, the Israeli-Indian alliance has many facets, and I'll not go into it because of shortage of time. I'll just say what we need to do I'm talking as Pakistan, what we need to do is not let them floodify. I mean, we keep talking here, okay, India and Israel are collaborating and collusively doing this against Pakistan. So we need to separate them. I keep saying India is the enemy for Pakistan. As far as Israel is concerned, there are other ways to deal with Israel, and the other way is by bringing about peace in America, in the Middle East. And for that, a conduit could be United States, because United States also wants peace. One of the reasons that United States is becoming friendly to Pakistan these days is because of its new Middle East plan. And Pakistan should go along as long as we can bring about peace, which peace includes Palestine, obviously. When you say the two-state solution, one state is Palestine, and for the Gaza people, and for all the people, the Muslims and all. So we should work for peace in the Middle East and isolate the Indians from the Israelis rather than trying to take them on together.
All right. Coming to Dr. Tasawwur, in which ways does Modi's silent endorsement of Israeli atrocities on Palestinians mirror India's own repressive policies in IIOJK?
I think we can draw parallels, and that would be right parallel to draw, that how the state of Israel and the state of India are following the same pattern. And where is it rooted? I think it is rooted in the ideological text, where in both states Muslims are facing, you know, lot of challenges, and the thing is that how do they perceive Muslims? Ideologically speaking, they perceive Muslims as subhumans, those who can be dehumanized, and those don't have those who have no rights equal to the other citizens of the state, and they actually follow somehow the historical discourses that is written in some sort of religious text, ideological discourses, etc., etc., and the practices which they are into. These practices are actually ideologically drawn, ideologically given, and there's I think there's a remote possibility that these two states actually deviate from their pattern.
All right.
Be it any government there, be it Modi or be it BJP or be it any political party in India or in otherwise in the Israel, let's say,
Okay.
Muslims will be facing lot of problems just because the problems are coming from the ideological dispositions of the powerful
From
groups.
the ideological dispositions. Last question, Air Marshal Saab, very, very short answer. How can the Muslim world counter this joint narrative machinery that is targeting Muslim causes at international fora?
I think there's only a single answer for that, and that is the unity.
Okay.
And they should know that if they don't join together, they will be the one who will be targeted next, and their turn will definitely come. So the only solution and the only way to counter this particular menace
is
to
unity.
show the unity.
All right. Unity is extremely important, and also on the eve of 14th of August, when unity, faith and discipline, the motto of our card, becomes even more important, not only for Pakistan but for the Muslim world. Last two stories, very, very quickly. The AI chatbot Grok on Tuesday offered conflicting explanations, you know, as far as its brief suspension from X was concerned after accusing Israel and the United States. It did accuse Israel and the United States of committing genocide in Gaza. It also lashed out at its own owner, Elon Musk, for censoring it, you know, and it responded to different people's comments on why it remained suspended, and that is what it actually answered, you know. So we see that there is even censorship that is happening as far as Grok is concerned. What next? We will see. Finally, today is the 25th death anniversary of famed pop icon Nazia Hassan from Pakistan. She started her music career at the age of 10 as a child star and has won so many national and international awards. But most of all, she has won over our hearts of different generations and continues to do so through her music. Lots of prayers and good wishes going to her soul today on the eve of her 25th death anniversary. With that, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow. Tomorrow is a special show because tomorrow is the 14th of August. So do tune in at the same time right here on PTV World. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.